The Commissioners Court of Brazos County will meet in regular session on October the 5th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Commissioners Courtroom in the County Administration Building, 200 South Texas Avenue, Suite 106. First item on the agenda is the Invocation Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flag. Commissioner Cawley will lead those.
May we bow. Father God, we acknowledge that this is the day that the Lord hath made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. We do thank you for all of your grace and your mercies, Father, for we believe that all blessings come from you. We acknowledge, Father, that during this period we have had lots of challenges, but we believe that you have been with us and that you will continue to guide us. Give us all the wisdom to make the very best decisions that is possible. Bless us, Lord, to work together and remember that Brazos County is our community. Thank you, Lord, for those that are on the front lines taking the first hits of all of the challenges. Give them the wisdom and give them the strength and keep us all healthy. In the name of Jesus, we ask it all. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Second item on the agenda is call for citizens' input and our concerns. And Rudy Schultz, there you are.
Judge, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk for just briefly. I'm with the Republican Party. I'm voting precinct 27 chairman.
Rudy, could you speak into the mic, please?
Okay, is that a little bit better?
Better.
Yes,
I had a little too low. I'm
yes.
sorry. And my hearing's not too good anymore either. But anyway, precinct 27 has grown immensely in the last 10 years. A lot of growth. If you it's probably a good time while we're redistricting to look at that and maybe split that into two. There's like 4,000 people living out there now, and it covers a large geographic area from Steep Hollow all the way down to Tonkaway Road out in College Station. A lot of the addresses along Highway 30, southern part of it, have College Station addresses, and so as we're redistricting, I think it might be a good idea to look at those and maybe try to figure out a way to maybe split that a little bit for the commissioners' courts also. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention and let that be maybe part of your consideration.
Okay.
Thank you for your consideration.
All right.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Any other citizen input and our concerns? Hearing none, we will go to number 3, presentation and discussion. Presentation and discussion of American Rescue Plan Act by Traylor and Associates Incorporated. Gary Traylor.
Judge Peters, members of the Commissioners Court, it's a great pleasure for Traylor and Associates to be here with you this morning. We're here to give just a fairly brief, high-level summary of the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery fund program that you are participating in with funds that were appropriated under the American Rescue Plan Act. I'm here with 3 of our talented staff. I want to just very quickly introduce them to you. They will be providing the majority of this presentation this morning. I have with me this morning Mr. Mark Taylor. Mark, if you would just stand. Mark is our Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of our company. I'd also like to introduce Ms. Melinda Smith. Melinda is a Vice President in our company and is our disaster recovery specialist and team lead for all of the projects that we're doing under the coronavirus funding. Then also I'd like to introduce Wesley Traylor. Wesley is my youngest son, and he is a project manager with our company and is our specialist in the areas of economic development and credits and incentives under various programs. So I'm going to turn this over now to Mark Taylor. Mark's going to come and start this, and then as he finishes it, he'll pass it to the next presenter here this morning. We'd like to try to keep our presentation under 15 minutes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. First thing I'd like to visit with you on this morning is names and acronyms. You have an opportunity like this comes up, it's not uncommon for it to be called 4 or 5 different things, and you get in a conversation, sometimes you're halfway through that conversation before you realize, oh, we're talking about the same program, just a different name. So sometimes you'll hear this referred to as the American Rescue Plan, the American Rescue Plan Act, sometimes ARP, sometimes ARPA. I'm kind of short on words, so I usually stick with ARP. Short, sweet, to the point, American Rescue Plan. As far as the allocation, once again, everybody's aware the county's received roughly $44.5 million. Half of those funds are allocated to the county up front. The remaining amount of those funds are allocated to the county probably August or September of next year. No matter where you're at with the administration of the funds itself, those funds will be made available at that point in time. As far as the expenditure of the funds, you want to utilize these funds to the greatest advantage of the county. You want to get your best bang for your buck. Some of the things we'll be discussing today as far as eligible expenditures are revenue loss, public health and economic impact, as well as investments in infrastructure that these funds can be utilized for. All right. I'd like to very briefly discuss revenue loss. There again, this is one of those great ones. The title itself fairly well explains the program itself. They look at your revenue for the last fiscal year prior to the coronavirus. Then they look at the following 4 years, which in this case will be 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. They take your gross revenue for that prior year. They put in a growth factor. If your revenue for any of those preceding 4 years is less than your projected revenue based upon that fiscal year that's looked at, then you can supplement your general fund with those revenue funds out of the ARP program. That program's pretty plain and simple, to the point. It's something that many entities, unfortunately, are able to take advantage of due to the fact that COVID has had a major effect on their economy and has affected their revenue. But it's a great thing these funds are here and able to supplement that. At this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Melinda.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Hopefully, is that better? Okay. The public health and economic impacts are covered under the public services and related expenses to COVID-19. And this is actually one of the most flexible and broad areas that you can spend money, but that also makes it a little dangerous. A lot is open for interpretation. And the main things that the county would be required to do is identify a need or a negative impact due to COVID, and then also identify how whatever project or program was developed would alleviate that need or eliminate it, period. So some of the projects that would be eligible are the more obvious things like vaccine testing, vaccination sites, things like that. Some of the less obvious public health services would be mental health facilities, mental health services, maybe partnering with an organization that provides those services and supporting them in some way. Renovations to existing buildings, to provide either sites for vaccinations, testing, even training of some of the county staff, police officers, fire department, things of that nature. You can also, sorry, trying not to get too far down in the weeds today. You can also do some more creative things with communications like LED message boards and items of that nature that we're seeing some counties that don't have the funds normally to support those types of projects go ahead and head towards. I'm going to go ahead, I believe, and send Wesley here, and then I'll be right back in just a moment.
Thanks, Melinda, and good morning, Judge and Commissioners. One of the things that we want to make sure that the county is aware of, items that are eligible for funding within this allows for a broad range of necessary investments throughout this community. Some of those investments would be broadband projects that provide high-speed service to underserved households and businesses in this area. Another one would be stormwater drainage to be incorporated with water quality benefits. Water-related infrastructure as well is certainly eligible within this, but we really need to try and make sure that we tie this back into improving the quality of life for residents here and making sure that now and into the future that these investments are certainly something that can help the community not only sustain continued operations, but also have healthy access to water, sewer, and make sure that your stormwater runoff is not negatively impacting other open bodies of water. So we really have a great opportunity here in Brazos County to make some necessary improvements that you've probably been thinking of before the American Rescue Plan Act was signed into law. Now y'all have half of that investment in the county's bank account, and you can carefully try and start to make decisions on how you want to further these investments in the communities. Sewer-related improvements to be an eligible project must be in line with the EPA's Clean Water State Resolving Fund or Drinking Water State Resolving Fund. Those are all necessary parameters to make sure that what you're putting into this community is certainly clear of EPA regulations, TCEQ regulations, things like that. Really a great opportunity to have investments in the community right now, but we do need to make sure that we can tie all of this into programmatic guidelines and not spend money that the Treasurer would have to recapture, so to speak. With that, Melinda, I'm going to turn it right back over to you.
Sorry, and I just wanted to touch on broadband ever so slightly. Per the most recent studies in Brazos County, approximately 91% of the county does have high-speed internet available at 100 megabytes per second down and 10 up. Now, that equates to 6,410 households approximately that do not have high-speed service. Most of that is in the northern portion of the county, but basically the farther away you get from the college campuses, the less likely you are in the rural areas to have that speed internet. The goal, of course, is to get everyone the 100 megabyte per second up and down, which is a challenge, but if that can't be met, then of course, whatever you can do is encouraged. So just a little bit of background on that one as well. And the timeline for funds. Costs must have been incurred beginning March 3rd, 2021, and must be obligated no later than December 31st, 2024. Now, obligated in this instance is going to mean that it's actually been dedicated to a project. You do have a little bit more time to actually spend the fund if it's, say, a construction project or a program that's ongoing. And then also, as Mark said, the county does not have to spend the initial 50% in order to receive the remaining 50%. Of course, we'll be accounting for it as we go, but it is an automatic distribution that will come. So hopefully we've kept it brief enough. As I think I've told a few of y'all, I can talk about this all day long. It is what I do all day, every day, and I enjoy it, and I can keep doing it, but for the sake of brevity and y'all having other items to discuss, then I will say thank you so much for y'all's time, and we look forward to working with you.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sure. This is a discussion.
Belinda, I have a question for you on the stormwater drainage. Could you just give me a quick example? I know you told me before, and also
it's listed here that not all drainage activities are, can you give me kind of an idea where we're headed with that?
Certainly. So in order to be eligible for the stormwater drainage portion of this, it has to be something that is compliant with the Clean Water Act. That's going to mean that it must have some sort of water quality component to it. In other words, not all drainage will be stormwater. Some things simply like replacing a culvert may not provide that level of benefit that they're looking for. But there are hard projects and soft projects. Soft projects would be things like retention ponds. And then hard projects would be piping, stormwater piping, concrete lining a ditch, for instance, would have some protection against erosion or pollution. So there's a large segment that would be eligible, but just I don't like using the word drainage because I don't want anybody to get the idea that
Stormwater is eligible.
stormwater, not
maybe.
drainage.
Okay.
So, and there is a difference in the definitions, though it's a very fine line.
Great explanation. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah. We did the revenue loss calculation, and I don't know if you could familiarize us with the numbers that we use there, where we are there, and talk in a little more detail about what the distinction is with money that qualifies under revenue laws and uses compared to money that does not qualify under revenue laws. Just kind of the differentiation between the two.
So it's my understanding that the revenue loss claimed by the county on the interim report was approximately $6.4 million. And I am not certain, I need to get with the auditor's office to discuss a little bit more detail on how that was allocated. It's a little difficult when they have you fill out electronic reports that you can't have to just send someone, but we'll get with the auditor's office. And Mark is really the one that I think could elaborate on the uses far more than I could. If y'all need more explanation, we'll get him up here.
Yeah, I'd just kind of like to get the broad definition of the differential of the use of the funds that qualify under revenue loss versus the funds that do not qualify.
Sure. And there again, the definition, once again, we have to go back to what the Treasury is defining it at this point in time. What is out there at this point is the interim final rule. The final rule is not there. The interim final rule basically says they look at all revenue into the general fund with the exception of any utility services that may be owned by the entity. Revenue generated off of any type of utility services and so forth would not be considered general revenue. As far as the expenditure of those funds, there again, it's very broad in the expense of those funds. There are a couple of things that the funds cannot be utilized for. Putting into a pension fund would be one of those things. And so once again, it's pretty broad, and what you would generally consider general revenue is considered both in claiming it to determine your revenue loss as well as what the funds can be expended on.
Okay, so the main caveat there on the money that does qualify is it can't be used for pension funds.
Yes, that's correct. It
Okay,
cannot.
either funding a current pension liability or Brazos County has an OPEB that neither of those two would qualify as far as expenditures of this funds, but pretty much everything else would be comparable to the general
Pretty much
fund
everything
expenditures.
else. One other thing that is specifically listed, should you have an occurrence that you need to pay off, should the county ever be sued, which that's very uncommon, but to pay off a debt like that is not allowable as well.
Gotcha. Very good.
Okay.
And one other question relative to that as far as that goes. Okay, so as I understand it, the formula is based on an assumed 4.1% growth rate. That you calculate the revenue loss for each of for this year and for each of the years in the future. If we are at a point to where we were below that, to where we had a significant amount of money going into the revenue loss part, should we anticipate that that's going to probably be continuing into the future? I know we have to true up and make sure every time, but should we kind of think about that's going to be a part of our plan to where in the future, in future years, we're going to have a comparable type of revenue loss?
There again, that's a decision on the county's behalf themselves. Were it me, I would definitely be looking at that. Once again, when you're looking at your general fund, you know you've got obligations that those funds are going to have to be spent on, and so you want to be as reasonably sure as you can into the near future that you are able to meet those obligations. So I would definitely look at that revenue loss spread out over the 4 years that would potentially be applicable.
Some projections on that might be interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank
I would definitely encourage looking at that.
Okay.
As far as the growth factor, you mentioned the 4.1%, which is accurate. It's the greater of 4.1% are your average growth factor over the three fiscal year period prior to the COVID epidemic.
Okay.
So whichever one of those is greater, you can utilize as your growth
Okay.
factor.
Katie has a question.
Katie?
Okay.
Comment, compared to 4.1, ours was 7%.
Okay.
Okay.
So our number exceeded the 4.1. Okay.
Thank you very much for that information.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.
We look forward
Well
to
done. We're
moving.
here with y'all this morning. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Okay, we will move on and consider and take action on agenda items 4 through 25. Number 4 is approval of the following job descriptions.
Move approval A through E.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 5 is approval to cancel the regular meeting on Commissioners Court Tuesday, October 12, due to lack of quorum, but I think I've heard that there may be 3 here. Is that correct?
I will
There's a
be-
conference that we thought. Okay, so I guess I'm the only one going then. All right, so we don't need to cancel that. We'll,
Yeah, I'm
oh,
going.
I'm
gonna be here and then
You're
I'll
going to
go.
be here for the meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So
We do not approve
It-
or take no action.
I think we can take no action on that, I believe would be,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
thank you.
So we will move on to number 6, is approval of policy on de minimis employee expenditures.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 7 is request from Information Technology Department to assign 2 mobile comm licenses to City of Bryan.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 8 is approval of Section 2.14 Policy on Service Awards.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 9 is approval of renewal of bid 22-070R, cutback asphalts with Cleveland Asphalt Products, Inc.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 10 is approval of workers' compensation renewal with Texas Association of Counties Risk Management Pool.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 11 is approval of amendment number 5 to service agreement with TAMU Forensic Nursing Program to accept $10,000 in grant funds.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 12 is approval of amendment number 2 to 18-035 Index and Imaging Services with CoFile to add additional services.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 13 is approval of contract renewal 22-027R and 22-2028R Precinct Number 1 Constable and Justice Peace Office leases with Southwood West.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 14 is approval of contract 22-067 for medical malpractice insurance through Enco Insurance for the Brazos County Health and Wellness Clinic.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 15 is approval of ratification for 22-075 to extend Texas Workshop Commission for Brazos County's contract with Constable Precinct 1.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 16 is approval of state case registry cooperative agreement between the Office of Attorney General and the state of Texas and Brazos County, Texas.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 17 is approval of the following community support contracts for FY 2022.
I approve A through D.
Second.
Motion to approve A through D.
Second.
Second. Motion made and seconded, discussion.
Yes, I need to abstain from D.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve A through D, and you'll abstain from D.
Yep.
Further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 18 is approval of memorandum of understanding between Brazos County and St. Joseph Regional Health Center regarding COVID-19 Regional Infusion Center.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. This is the infusion center that just opened up this week to take advantage of the microbial antibodies infusion to try to combat the COVID-19 that's been going on. You know, we all know that there's been the hospitals have had high rates of folks in the emergency room because of it, and this frankly is the infusion that I took that I recovered very quickly. So I'm very happy that the governor made it available to us. St. Joe's made the space available, and we're a part of trying to make all that work. And I would suggest to you that if you catch COVID, and if you're in the higher risk factor, and they have a physician, I believe, on staff that you can make the telephone call, and I don't remember the number right offhand, but you can call that number out there, and they can determine whether you qualify or not, and set you up if you qualify, and we're ready to roll. I mean, I'm very happy that this has been made available for us. It's good for everybody, and this is more than just Brazos County. It reaches out to anybody in the community around. So it's
a
good.
really important addition, I think, to the next stage of treatment. And I think that's an intervention. I think that's great.
Judge, all of that information is on the county website.
Okay, great. Thank you, Barbara. That information's there, and probably that phone number, everything is there. So,
Barbara, will we have flyers or pamphlets that will be handed out to the public? Everybody does not have access to the internet.
We can work on that.
All right, thank you.
okay. So we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 19 is a request for tax refund for Ben and Eileen Winkle for $247.43 per Texas Tax Code Section 33.011.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 20 is tax refund application for the following.
I'd like to offer a motion that we approve A, B, and C.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve A through C. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 21 is budget amendments. Budget amendments FY 20/21, 51.1 through 51.2, and budget amendments FY 21-22, 1.1 through 1.6.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 22 is personnel change of status.
Move
I
approval
approve.
A and B.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve A and B, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Let's move back to the addendum that was added to the agenda today. The number one on that addendum is Order 21-012, adopting the guidelines for persons submitting specific redistricting proposals.
Need a motion on that?
Yes, I do.
I'll move to approve.
And I second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number two is Order 21-013, adopting criteria for use for 2021 redistricting process.
I move to approve.
Second.
Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Then the claims, number 23 is claims to be paid by Brazos County, claim number 8110449 through claim number 8110608 and claim number 9003171 through claim number 9003231.
I move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. We'll move down to number 26 is Juvenile Director's report, and Linda wasn't here today, but she sent this. The juveniles in detention are 30, males 21, females 9. There are 7 juveniles in medical isolation per protocol, and there are 20 juveniles on electronic monitors. And then number 27, Sheriff's report on inmate population. Sheriff.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. We have 608 in custody today, 524 men, 84 women. We have 36 on electronic monitoring and 4 pending. We have 34 active cases with 284 in quarantine, and we have 10 employees out.
Okay.
Numbers are creeping up.
Ma'am?
Numbers are creeping up on jail population.
Yeah, the jail population has increased almost 10% over the last month. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Number 28 is announcement of interest items or possible future agenda topics.
Judge, would you like those phone numbers for the infusion center?
Sure, that's,
And I know that the media is already doing a good job of
they are.
broadcasting this. I heard it this morning on the way in. But patients can contact the infusion center at 979-690-4478 and find out if they qualify, and if they do qualify, make an appointment. And physicians can fax referrals to the center at 979-731-5229.
Okay. Thank you, Counsel. Any other announcement? 29 is call for citizens' input and/or concerns. Hearing none, we will go back up to 24 and convene an executive session pursuant to the Texas Government Code 551.071 to consult with an attorney about pending or contemplated litigation and/or a settlement offer.
Judge, I think we would expect myself, Mr. Bull, the auditor, Charles, and Ms. Jett,
And Cheryl.
and administrative staff to record.
Okay, from Commissioner's Court. And the time is 10:35. Okay, we're coming back into out of executive session. There's no action to be taken. It's 11:19. Next item is to adjourn.